revenge on cheating wife, now ex, as well as the karma that came afterwards. So I am in the army and I was married. I was approaching my first deployment to Iraq. It was very stressful and it had my wife wanting me to find a way to stay and not deployed. Obvious things any wife would try to talk about. Anyways, so we have no kids but both want them. So we talk about getting out of debt while I'm gone. She talks to her best friend back home in another state where we are both from. Her friend agrees to let her move in and charge a modest 300 in rent so that we can get out of debt and start a family when I come back. A plan which I was actually very pleased with. I deploy. She is there crying her eyes out saying she will miss me and loves me and we will start a family when we get back. Fast forward 2 months, she started acting distant, not wanting to talk much on our scheduled calls or text back one or two word answers. We've been together 6 years, she is never at a loss for words. Anyway, one day she says, I need some space. She asks someone who is 10,000 miles away for space. I say, why? She says she just needs space. She wants to find herself, so I remember back when we lived at home, she had a guy who was always being borderline inappropriate. I'm not a very jealous person and I trust her. So I start seeing said guy on basically all her pictures she posts with the group. Every time he is in the picture, everyone else changes but never him. So for the first time, I'm very jealous and uneasy about everything. So I clone her phone so I receive every text she receives as well as every text she sends. I'll never forget the first text I saw after cloning her phone. Hey babe, I'll see you after work. Want me to save you any of my leftovers? From here to him, it destroyed me. I lost 35 pounds in a week. I didn't eat or sleep. I stared at the phone watching every conversation. Watching them talk about trying to have a baby. It was literally everything a married person fears. I ask her if she is seeing someone and she says no, she isn't. She's taking care of herself and she loves me blah blah. I don't say anything about receiving her text for 3 months. Over this time, she finally admits cheating and that he is so much better than me at sex, treating her right, and he does what she wants. During this time, she pays our debt off, gets tattoos with him, matching I love you tattoos, going to show with him, buying clothes, etc. with the money I'm making. So this is where revenge starts. I put a freeze on the account for a month at that time. I changed every password to every account, the things she won't guess. Army jargon slang terms. I block her in FB and my phone so she has no way to contact me. She lost her car to repo a few months later, got kicked out of her place, had to sell her prized shoes and purses just to stay alive. I then find out she got a job at her old restaurant, so I post all the text conversations I have with her and the guy talking about having babies that have timestamps on it as well as post conversations we had with the matching timestamps showing all of our friends what she has done. I then have friends call and complain at her job constantly on both he and her. They worked at a restaurant, so I also have friends dine and dash. They both get fired. So she tries to call my command and tell me that I am abandoning her and she can provide for herself. My commander knows what is going on. He does nothing because he had something similar happen. Then about a month before I came back, she calls me from another number to tell me she is pregnant with his kid. Mind you, I'm still gone, so we cannot get divorced yet. She moved away with him 10 hours from me. April 24, 2018, she calls me 5 months pregnant, crying uncontrollably, asking me where she should go. Apparently, They have a giant blow up fight. She tells him she is leaving. She says she doesn't know where to go, and I simply say, "Sorry, not my problem anymore." Fast forward January of this year, she calls me from a mutual friend's phone. Her? He hit me. I don't know what to do. Me? Maybe you don't cheat on your husband when he is deployed for some guy who talks a big game. Her? Well, I guess you were happy about this. Me? No, but I'm glad I know I'm not the bad guy in this story. And then the next month, her? He is cheating on me with two girls. I'm sorry. I regret everything I did. I fucked it all up. Me? Yeah, you did. All in all, this woman destroyed my life, put me into a deep depression I'm still dealing with. But I do feel a little better having proof that I wasn't the problem. To think, if this happened even 10 or 5 years ago, I would have come back to empty a bank account, an empty house, as well as seeing my then wife pregnant with another man's baby. She actually hit me up yesterday to ask for some money to help cover rent. Don't think I can never forgive myself. I've been with my husband for almost 10 years. We've been through our ups and downs like any normal couple. Last Friday, I fucked up. I went to a bar with some co-workers, got incredibly drunk, and slept with a guy I met that night. Husband found out the next morning and confronted me. Initially, I denied it, but ended up confessing. He contemplated leaving, but ultimately decided to stay. We've had an open marriage in the past, and he hasn't been perfect. Not that it's any type of excuse or my actions. Our sex life had drastically died down. We would beg for it, and I would oblige once a week at most. It's not that I don't love him. I love him more than anything in the world. It was just a bunch of different things. I had put on some weight during our marriage, and he voiced that he didn't find me as physically attractive any longer. He began working out and getting in shape, and out of laziness and just bad self-esteem, I never stuck with it. I didn't feel attractive or desirable to him any longer, and thus never felt comfortable being intimate. The guy I slept with made me feel beautiful and sexy, and it had been years since I felt that. I'm not excusing my behavior. What I did was terrible, and I feel completely terrible because of it. Because of our unique situation with being open, the sex itself wasn't what hurt him. He said the betrayal to him was I was willing to give myself to someone I didn't know when I knew how much he was desperate for it. He states he has completely forgiven me and wants to move past this. I am incredibly lucky and thankful for him for it. The thing is, I don't think I can never forgive myself. I promise to work on myself to make him and me happy. I just feel like the worst human being ever. I can't eat or sleep. I began self-harming again, which I haven't done for years. I don't feel worthy to be in his presence. I've seriously contemplated suicide. I can't forgive myself for this. This is the only time I've ever been unfaithful in any relationship I've ever been in. I feel so fucking awful that I did this to him and would give anything to go back and fix it. But I can't. I want our marriage to work, but I don't know how I can become the better person for him when I can't even look in the mirror. I hate myself for what I've done. I don't deserve to leave. I don't deserve him. Even if we stay together, I don't think I'll ever allow myself to be fully happy again. The guilt of my action is going to stay with me, and I genuinely don't know how to forgive myself. Looking for any advice? Affair? 9 years ago. And we still talk. I know I'm going to get blasted for this, so it's a throwaway account, and I'm prepared to hear you all rip me apart. And truth is, I really have no defense. I am female, 43, been married 24 years, happily married young but awesome relationship. Now have two adult kids who are out of the house. I lost my virginity to my husband, and we have been a storybook ever since. But have we really? 9 years ago, I met a guy in a wedding I was in. He was married as well, just 1 year at a time. We had to dance at the wedding, and it was the first time I had ever been that close to another man. Besides, my husband. And it made me feel sparks. Sparks I hadn't realized could exist with anyone except for my husband. A few days after the wedding, he contacted me through email that he had gotten from the bride, and we corresponded a bit about the wedding and the bride and groom. I had told my husband he had emailed me. Neither me or hubby thought much of it. Well, the conversations lasted longer, got more in depth, and emotions and secrets started to be shared. Then we moved to the phone, talking and text for hours and hours every day. At night, it was FB inbox back and forth. So much talking during the day that I was fired from a job. My career I had built was gone because for over 1 month at this point, I was obsessed with talking to this guy. One day, he even took the day off of work and just sat on the phone with me all day while parked in his car. I didn't even care when I got fired. All that mattered was getting home so I could call him. I lied to my husband and told him I got laid off. I was excited because me and my new guy could talk all day. Eventually, he told me he loved me. I replied that I loved him too. We made plans to meet one day as we lived about an hour and a half away from each other. We met at a hotel and had sex, obviously. But to both of us, it was the seeing each other and conversation that made that day and the ones that followed amazing. As you can imagine, my new behavior and sudden disappearing act on weeknights and weekends was not unnoticed by my husband, and my sudden overall change in attitude towards him had declined. In retrospect, I see it now, but I didn't realize it at that time. I was in love. Also around this time, his wife is starting to question his behavior as well as his sudden spike in his phone minutes. Anyway, I'll fast forward to 6 months into this and suddenly ends it. We can't do this anymore, he said. It was getting too intense. I was devastated. I didn't eat or sleep at all. I couldn't manage to even brush my hair. Guess who was there to help me through the toughest time in my life? Yeah, my husband. He had no idea what he was wiping my tears about, but he nonetheless was there for me. It took me a long time to return to reality, get my life back in order. A few weeks after my affair ended, the guy contacted me. It was hard. I wanted to hate him, but it turns out ending it was the right thing. I hated him for it, but in years to come, I understand why. Truth is, he did me a favor by ending it. Before he came along, my marriage was amazing and sacred, and I wanted to return to that. So I never told my husband. This was 9 years ago. What would be the point in telling him if I never did it again? And now, it's 9 years later and things are amazing. We're traveling, have a grandchild, and just overall life is great. My dilemma is that I never told him, and sometimes I wake in the night with panic attacks, and I know what you're about, but I can tell the most amazing guy in the world why I can't breathe. I have nightmares that he finds out. I never rest easy and haven't in 9 years. I'm always on edge for the truth to emerge, even though I manage a 6 months affair, and the only two people who know are me and the other guy. And I know he's never going to say anything because him and I still chat frequently, but it's just friends. We have never so much mentioned what happened 9 years ago. My husband now knows him as a friend of mine. And I'm pretty sure he stays in touch with me for the same reassurance that I seek from him. That this goes to our grave. Why hurt his wife and my husband over something from so long ago? Nobody gains anything.